man in Arizona,
What's this?
Estelle.
Oh,
And he would then come from
Hello.
hi, Estelle.
Hi,
Hi.
Estelle.
I
Hi.
just didn't see anybody else there. Wondered who was there. Yeah.
Yes is here, Lois is here, David is here, and the rabbi is not.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
4 out of
How's,
5.
how's everybody doing in this weather?
Hanging in.
Yeah, hanging in there.
Keeping warm.
How about
Yes.
you? How about you?
Yeah,
Okay.
getting a bit of cabin fever. I've been home now for 3 days now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Tomorrow, the weather's supposed to be a little bit in the 30s, which is
Oh, good.
which has been the best of the week, supposedly.
Yeah, it has been. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah. As long as the roads will be okay to drive on.
Yeah.
Yes, they were okay this morning or
And they,
this
yeah.
late morning.
Okay. Mhm.
I was ready to slap Ken last night.
Why? Oh, why?
He said he'll come pick you up and drive to North.
I know, to where you guys are. I know. Oh, did you see Craig's?
Yeah,
The roads are clear, everything's fine. This is Craig, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be in the middle of a blizzard and he'd say the roads are clear and everything's fine. So,
Why did he write that
because he wanted everyone to come out.
yesterday night?
Yeah.
last night, yeah.
Yeah.
Was he the only one that wanted it?
No, Ken did
Ken-
but then Ken
And then
finally
Ken
said,
something, yeah.
yeah, Ken finally said, you know what? It's pretty nasty out there.
Yeah, well, it was flurrying by me. I didn't have major accumulation.
I don't think we did either.
The
but
cat,
Yeah. How is the cat?
how is the cat?
This is nice.
Glasses on.
This is nice. What is it? It's a cat.
This is a cat. Okay, you see a cat?
I see a cat. Oh,
That's my courtyard.
yeah,
That is my cat in the courtyard.
okay.
Wait, just wait for it.
Wait for it. Wait for it.
I think I have the right video. There are two.
That was
Yellow.
Hello.
Hello.
He's
Hi,
Hi,
Rabbi.
guys.
doesn't like the snow very
Oh,
much.
he does.
Oh, he
Watch,
does?
Watch.
Oh, okay.
See his footsteps already there?
Yeah. Liz is showing me a video of her cat in the courtyard.
Oh, I see.
Oh, wading into the snow. Oh, he's looking for some. Seems like
No, he's
She
going to
likes
the
it or she
furniture.
doesn't like it?
He likes it.
maybe like
Oh, really?
Yes, he's taking a walk through the snow. I have some courtyard furniture. He's actually going to the furniture to go under the couch.
really.
Yes,
Oh well.
see there, he's made it to the couch.
That's a Chicago cat.
That is definitely a Chicago cat, a fat Chicago cat.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
All right, put my
Righty.
cat away.
You do that. Estelle, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Oh,
How are
very
you?
good. Baruch Hashem, are you gonna go down to Florida?
Yes, I'm leaving on the 30th of December. I'll go for a month.
Nice. Very nice.
Yes, looking forward to it.
I am going to another wedding.
Oh,
On Sunday,
so cute to show you. All right.
on Sunday, this next Sunday, I'm going. So I'm not going to be around for Monday and Tuesday next week because I'm going to a wedding in LA. So
Oh, LA.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yes, it's a family from Northbrook, and that's if it's going to be a destination wedding, it should be to a warm place,
Yes,
relatively, I
I
think.
agree.
Are you officiating?
No, I'm not officiating, but I'm a part of I have been typecast at several at several weddings. I have been the one to read the ketubah, and I feel like I've been typecast.
Mm.
Typecast. One time, Mordechai Becher, when Mordechai Becher was getting married, um, he he went to talk to Rav Moshe Shapiro, a blessed memory, because his wife had an uncle who was a rabbi, not an Orthodox rabbi. And so he wasn't sure because the family wanted him to have a role and he wasn't sure how to do that. So he went to Rav Moshe Shapiro. And while he was there, he was going to ask Rav Moshe to read the Ksuba. So, but first he asked about the uncle, and Rav Moshe listened to him and he says, you know what? Why don't you have him read the Ksuba? Because that's not an honor.
Really?
It's not an official honor. Obviously, it's become an honor, but it's not an official honor. The reason that they read the ketubah is to separate between the kedushin ceremony and the chuppah ceremony. There's no need. There's absolutely no need to read the ketubah. It's like a sorbet in between
That's funny.
courses. So, and then of course he did not ask him to read the ksuba after that happened. Anyways, I have become sort of typecast in that role, which fine.
Reading
I say fine, but I might have to get a different agent.
Is it sometimes difficult? I mean, it's,
There was one time in Israel where it was like, I don't know where that tuba came from. It was sort of like a Sephardi tuba, even though that neither of them was Sephardim, and it was just way longer than other ketubas that. I mean, by the time I'm looking at it, since I'm not the rabbi, so it was the rabbi's responsibility to make sure that it's written properly.
Mhm.
I remember one time it was at one of my son at Shauli's wedding. It was in Lakewood. So I was the Masada Kedushin at his wedding, and I had to obviously make sure that the ketubah was properly written. And spelling Lakewood is a controversial subject in Lakewood.
I could just
Spelling it
imagine.
properly in Hebrew.
Right.
So it's like, but I happen to have a connection to a rabbi from Milwaukee, Rabbi Senderovic, who's considered one of the world's experts in Gittin. But one of the branches of Gittin is how to spell names. So he is like one of the world's experts on spelling names. So I called him and asked him, how do I spell Lakewood? And then when I went there, they don't trust you. These halls have their own like guy who's like, he's really the one who oversees everything. And he doesn't just oversee the physical stuff. He makes sure that everything's in place for the chuppah, but also to make sure that the ksuba is written correctly. And they just don't rely on rabbis. That's also in Israel true. So he looked over that ksuba. I saw him looking over the ksuba, and then he has like a smile. Oh, and he nods. Oh, not bad, not bad. He spelled Lakewood correctly. They thought they. Okay, anyways. When last we spoke, we were sending away the mother bird. Okay. So we had a few mitzvahs here, which were mitzvahs that really seem central kind of mitzvahs. And then we had Shiluach HaKen, which comes up a lot. but now we're back into the thick of Beis Hamikdash related stuff. So the rule is that if this was in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, if somebody had a lesion on their skin, so they were required to show it to a Kohen, and the Kohen would determine whether or not they need to be concerned about tzara'at. So just to review, tzara'at for hundreds of years was translated into English as leprosy, but it's not leprosy apparently. It is a skin disease, but it's not leprosy. It's something, some other kind of, I think, related to psoriasis or something. But it's not Hansen's disease. Let's just say that. But it is a skin disease. But the person who's in charge of diagnosing whether or not this person actually has full-blown tzara'at is the Kohen. Now, apparently, if it was during a time where you had Kohanim, it could be any Kohen. It doesn't have to be the Kohen Gadol or anything. But if there was a time where the Kohanim weren't the experts and there were other people that were experts, so that person, the Kohen could bring that other person with them and they could help them with the diagnosis. But there's different stages. There's potential tzara'at. There's a kind of middle kind of case where it does look like tzara'at, but if it spreads anymore, then it's going to be officially tzara'at. Once it gets to officially full-blown tzara'at, then that person has to leave the community. So when they were in the desert, that person in the desert, there was the area of the Mishkan. Then outside the area of the Mishkan is something called Machane Leviah, the camp of the Levites. And then outside of that, there was the camp of the other tribes. It was more like a square, even though it sounds like it would be circles, but it's more like squares. So the Metzora would have to live outside of the area where people were living. And then if he or she sees that it's now receding, a Kohen would again look at it and determine if in fact they are no longer a Metzora. If they're no longer a Metzora, they go through a purification process, which also involves korbanos, and then they're allowed to come back and live wherever they lived before. This would be true if the person was a Kohen, if the person was a Levi, if the person's a Yisrael. So you could imagine somebody being tempted to get rid of any indication that might be tzara'at, like if it's sort of like a lesion, maybe it has a scab or something, and the person would like pick away at it because they don't want it to appear like they might have tzara'at. You could see that somebody might be tempted to do that. So here it is prohibited. He prohibited shaving off the scab, and that is his saying, but he shall not shave the scab. And the language of the Sifra is, from where do we know that one who tears away signs of impurity transgresses a negative commandment? Hence we learn to say, but he shall not shave the scab. Okay. He prohibited us from cutting off signs of impurity or burning them until their appearance changes. So the first one was via shaving. The next one is there's obviously some difference between what they're calling cutting off and shaving. But these are the other options, I guess, for removing it. And they are burning it, or here I have them translated as cutting it off. Like kites is like it is a word for harvesting figs. It means it's a way of removing something where you separate something. Maybe this is by hand as opposed to the other one, which would be with a razor. Whatever it is, this guy is trying to get rid of these signs, or burning it until the appearance changes, and that is his saying, "Take heed of the plague of Tzaraat." The language of the Sifrei, "take heed," is with a negative commandment, and the language of the Mishnah is one who plucks. See, because take heed is a positive statement. It sounds like they're saying, whenever it says to do something, that's typically a positive mitzvah. So the Sifrei says, even though it does say ushmartem, right? Hishamer, be careful, but it's with a negative commandment. The language of the Mishnah is one who plucks out signs of impurity or burns healthy flesh transgresses the negative commandment, and he is lashed, as we have explained. Okay, and here is another sort of interesting ritual. I guess if you were collecting what we might call the most interesting rituals, I don't know if they're totally outliers, but there are elements of these that are certainly outliers. So here you have the Egla Arufa. The Egla Arufa is a calf which is slaughtered at a riverbed, and this happened when somebody was found murdered. If somebody was found murdered and it's outside of city limits, and it's a little bit outside of city limits, so it was beyond what the city would technically be responsible of protecting. So there's an assumption from the Torah that the citizens of a city, and especially the city elders, are meant to ensure the safety not only of its own citizens, but of people that are visiting there. And if something would happen to somebody who's visiting there, that the city elders, and by extension, the people in the city as well, but the city elders would be considered to some degree responsible for the fact that something happened to this person, because it's their responsibility to make sure that this person is safe. But their responsibility is up to the city limits and then a little bit more. So, in other words, it's the city is supposed to provide safe passage, even a little bit out. They accompany, or somebody accompanies, or at least they have some kind of security that's there as the person's leaving. So now they've entered into what we'll call international waters. They're no longer in the area of control of the city and a little bit beyond. So if the person is murdered there, and this is the city closest to where the person was murdered, so that city performs this ritual of Egla Arufa, and at the animal is slaughtered, and then the elders dip their hands in the blood of the calf, and then they raise their hands and say, "Our hands did not spill this blood." In other words, we are not responsible for the death of this person. but also acknowledging that if it had happened closer to their city or in their city, they would have been responsible. So that is Egla Rufa. So there's a series of what you call outliers of this type. There's Egla Rufa, there's Para Aduma, the red heifer, and then there's Seir Hamishtaleach, the goat that is sent out. Each one of these ceremonies involves the death of an animal in a ceremony that is not a sacrifice, but it is sacrifice-like. It has a ritual that gives it a kind of fragrance of sacrifice, but it's not it's technically not a sacrifice. So it's an interesting list to have. Those are the three that come to mind right off the bat. There might be more of these. I guess Pidyon Ben might be similar. Again, it's a ceremony or a service, but it involves a Kohen. This does not involve Kohanim. This one. The Paraduma does, the Seir HaMishtaleach does. The Paraduma, Seir HaMishtaleach, and this. Oh no, what did I say? Did I have four things? Yeah, I did. I had Seir HaMishtaleach, Paraduma, this. Oh, yeah, Pidyon Ben. So Pidyon Ben, if you ever been to a Pidyon Ben, it is sort of interesting ceremony. I remember I had been to them, but then when our son AY had his Pidyon Ben, it was quite dramatic because they have this. The custom is to have a big silver tray, and then on the tray you put like sugar cubes, garlic, and some other things. And then the baby is put in the middle of the tray. It looks like you're serving the baby for a meal. That's what it looks like. And then there's this dialogue between the Kohen and the father, in which the father is redeeming his son. And the way he does that is the sanctity of his son is going to go on to money, which is 5 shekel. And then that money is given to the Kohen. So that's another example of, I guess, I would put on that list of these kind of outlier ceremonies that have the fragrance of sacrifice to them. Anyways, he prohibited us from working and planting in the harsh gully in which the calf was beheaded. So that riverbed has to remain barren. Now, the thing with these rivers, they're called Nahal. Nahal in Arabic, they call them wadis. Wadis. These are dry riverbeds. They're not dry always. They can fill up during the rainy season, but for the most part, they are dry riverbeds. So this one is apparently often dry because you're planting in it. So obviously, if it was filled with water, you wouldn't be planting in it. So here is what it's saying is that particular place has to be left unworked, and that is his saying, which shall not be worked and which shall not be planted. And one who transgresses this negative commandment is lashed. And in Makot, when they mentioned those liable for lashes, they said, but behold, there is also planting a harsh gully, and its prohibition is from here, which shall not be worked and which shall not be planted. So it is a negative commandment, and a person could get lashes for it if they were warned beforehand. Behold, it has already been made clear to you that it is only one negative commandment, and that is punished with lashes. The regulation of this commandment have already been explained at the end of Sota. So apparently there was reason to think that there might be more than one negative commandment associated with it. That's why he's saying it's only one. And also, you may not, for some reason, I don't know why, but you may not have thought it is liable for lashes. And therefore, he not only does he say it, which he does for all the other ones, but then he does it again. If it's a negative commandment that has lashes, he typically does make that point. But then at this point, it's not just him. It's when he says, "Behold, it has already been made clear to you that." No, where was it? Oh, in Makos, when they mentioned one liable for lashes, they said, "But behold, there is also planting a harsh gully." In other words, why there was some kind of list before, and then somebody's saying you need to add that. Well, then we need to look back at that Gemara in order to see why it wasn't on the original list. Is there something about this that makes you think at first blush that you wouldn't be liable, that he has to tell us that you would? What else was I going to say? There was something else here that made me think about those list of things that this is similar to. Should not be worked or should not be planted. I don't know. At one point I had a thought about it. Okay. It's similar to something, and that thing was in my head, but is left. What is it similar to? It is similar. All right, whatever. Okay. He prohibited us from keeping a sorcerer alive. And that is his saying, you shall not keep a sorceress alive. Now, they say this is written in the feminine, mechashefa lo techayeh, not because it only applies to women, but apparently women were typically witches. And if we pardon him, see how it went? And if we pardon him, that's how the translates goes to. We transgress a negative commandment. We not only negate a positive commandment, and it is as if we pardon one of those liable for one of the death penalties of the court. So apparently there was some reason why, when it comes to sorceresses or witches, that somebody might might not want to follow through with the death penalty, and therefore it needs like an extra push to tell you that you have to. Because in the end, he just says this would be like any of the other ones. Whatever's supposed to have a death penalty, you're supposed to follow through and give them the death penalty. So why is it specifically saying over here by the mechashefa, by the sorcerer, why? If we pardoned one of those liable for it, it's any of the death penalties. So there obviously some reason to give this extra mention. So exactly what qualifies, according to halacha, what qualifies somebody to be a mechashefa? That is a term that has made it into Yiddish as a derogatory term for people, calling them a witch. It's also made it into English as a derogatory term. But what is the legal requirement? I'm just going to ask it here in perplexity. What is the legal definition
Liz and I can tell you, but we don't want to give ourselves away.
Okay, one second. What is the legal definition of mechashefa according to halacha? What actions would someone have to do in order to be a mechashefa? And does this category still apply? Because we talked about doing magic, and that it is forbidden to perform magic. At first blush, it seems like that would apply even to people who do magic tricks today. But if you look in contemporary halachic works, or if you speak to poskim, they suggest that as long as it is made clear to your audience that you are not you're doing sleight of hand, and that you're not trying to demonstrate that you have extra powers, then it is okay. So I had friends who did magic, and so what they would do is they would say at the beginning, this is just sleight of hand or tricks, and they would show you how they do one trick. That is what they're told to do. Show you how they do one trick, and then they can go and do whatever. I actually was with Lois and David. Remember years ago we were at a Chabad dinner, and they had one of those mind reader guys.
Yes, yeah, I remember
Right.
he was on
Yeah.
a stage, kind of,
Yeah.
wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. And so he had to say that in the beginning. He said, I'm not really reading people's minds. I read the sign, I look at people's faces, and these are all tricks, whatever. He had to say that in the beginning. Even that guy, there's this guy owes something or other, that he's just like all over. He's been on a lot of talk shows and a lot of other shows where they show magic, where he does mind reading kind of things, and it's ridiculous how good he is at it. But he will say that I'm not reading your mind. I'm not reading your mind. I'm just like reading the evidence. There's stuff out there, clues out there, and I'm just doing that, but I'm not reading your mind. So that's how you're allowed to do it, magic today. But let's see what Perplexity says here. No, I'm not. Okay. I'm not going to try pro. A machashefa in halacha is someone who performs actual kishuf, sorcery, defined as manipulating natural phenomena through occult forces or illusions in a way the Torah forbids, not merely someone who believes in or studies about witchcraft in the abstract. Practically, the classic technical category requiring Beit Din and witnesses no longer applies today, though the prohibitions on practicing any form of kishuf, consulting practitioners, or engaging in closely related spiritual technologies still apply in full. Now, you could see how there might be people who feel like people associated with scientific breakthroughs are doing stuff that seems like magic. So what would be the difference between somebody who is manipulating nature in order to perform a wonder, like for instance, that I was able through this device. I don't know if you've ever seen one of these. This is a magical device that I have, and it allows me to communicate with a source of information out in the universe. And I can ask it any question, and it gives me a response. So, how is it that this is not witchcraft? So, you'd have to say that the reason this isn't witchcraft is because it's science. They are manipulating it based on the nature of what is being manipulated, and that comes through discovery and use of our intellect. But it is not using what they call here spiritual technologies. The Torah's phrase "mechashefa lo techayeh" is understood as applying to anyone, male or female, who practices kishuf. The feminine noun in the pasuk is not limiting, but reflects common usage or style. Chazal and poskim describe kishuf as acts done to produce effects in the world via non-natural forces, which involve astrology, demons, or other occult powers, or via deceptive sleight of hand in a way that the Torah forbids, even if done only to frighten or impress others. Now, I have a book. I happen to have it right here. I think I still have it here. Might not. I did have it here. It's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice. It's here. I did see it the other day. Anyways, it's called The Sorcerer's Apprentice, and it's a autobiography of a guy who traveled throughout India to learn from these people that practice magic throughout India. Now, these people are like, those old roadside yeah, these people that you'd even see them in Westerns where a guy would come into town and he'd have an elixir or something. And people would gather around and he would tell you that this elixir will cure you from this and that and this and that. So they have these all throughout India. They have these people who, travel from town to town, and they are promoting themselves as people that have special power, and that they have power to heal and to do other things, and they will do all sorts of wonders in front of an audience, and then the people line up for their cures for something or other. So this guy traveled all throughout India in order to find these different people and to learn from them. He had one primary teacher, but then this teacher said, you got to go out and travel. So he went to these places and traveled and found them. Now these people are pretending that they actually have these powers. They're not doing it for just entertainment and saying, I'm doing sleight of hand as entertainment. When it says sleight of hand here, what it means is that that they're doing it, but in other words, they're actually doing sleight of hand, not actual magic, but they're promoting it as magic. Classically, someone falls into the halachic category of a mechashef or mechashefa when doing one of the following types of actions. A, actually causing a change in reality through forbidden occult means. Harming, killing, or healing via kishuf, making objects appear or disappear through non-natural forces. B, using learned incantations, names, or rituals intended to harness non-natural powers to affect people, animals, or object as defined derech kishuf. Performing demonstrations of magic that appear to rely on such forces, where halacha treats it as kishuf, or at least lifnei iver, because it leads others to believe in, and so lifnei iver is misleading, giving people bad advice or enabling somebody to do something wrong. If it leads others to believe in and seek those powers, unless it is transparently understood as a natural sleight of hand. Halachically, there is also a distinction between fully effective kishuf, which truly causes damage and incurs the most severe liability, and deceptive kishuf, which uses tricks to make others think occult forces are at work, which is still prohibited, but the punishment is less severe. Even when a person is not technically a mechashef in the narrow sense, many related acts are biblically or rabbinically forbidden. Consulting Ov Yedoni, those were specific ways of speaking to the dead. Astrologers, performing nichush, which is where you tell somebody, it's like a horoscope, sort of like a horoscope, where Kesamim or other forms of fortune telling, reading signs to decide behavior in a superstitious way, saying incantations are skulot, presented as mechanically effective spiritual technologies, especially when done in formalized ways resembling kishuv avodah zarah. This one is, we're going to talk more about this tomorrow, because this one, there are people that pretend to be Kabbalists that are doing this kind of thing, and they really could be crossing into a line into this kind of thing. We will talk more about that tomorrow. I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm grateful that we got to learn together today. Be well, guys. Have an awesome day.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thank you.
You're welcome.